Welcome back to this week's Messiah Minutes. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I ask that you continue to share these and like these. And again, I thank you for the text messages and the encouraging words. Remember, I am speaking from a place of conviction, and these are things that I've struggled with and things that I find that help me that I share with you. So before we get started here, let's go over some announcements. First off, thank you. For this past weekend, for the Summer to Remember party. We want to thank all of you guys that helped organize that and help serve and just help be there, and just a good time to fellowship together as a church body. We just appreciate everyone that came for that. Remember, tomorrow night we have youth. Starts at 6. We do need some more help with the meals. I have tomorrow night covered and next week, but after that, we have nothing for the month of September. So and that's when it's going to start to get busy. We usually have our numbers sometimes double or triple once school starts back up. So I'm going to need some help serving the youth meals on that. So please come serve if you can, some food, and then just hang out with us if you want to get to know the youth. The more people in their life that are just there and consistent, the better off they're going to be. So I ask that you help with that. We also have our adult midweek service tomorrow at 6:30 here at the church. So come to that and just, refuel and get fed some word, get some prayer in your life. We all need it. This Saturday, we have the church cleanup at 9 o'clock. We ask that you guys come, bring gloves, rakes, some gardening tools, and just, get your hands dirty. Get down with us and work in the dirt, and just come show up for that this Saturday. Sunday, we invite you to come for service. I am preaching, so that'd be great if you would come and support me for that. But because of that, we're not doing a kids or youth. They're going to be in there with us. So just remember that on Sunday morning. Also, Sunday, we're going to do our blessing of the backpacks, as a lot of our kids are going back to school, or some of them have gone back to school or are getting ready to. So we're going to do the blessing of the backpack Sunday. And following service, we're going to have a lunch here at the church. So that'll be in the gym right after service. So please hang out with us Sunday and have lunch. And then September 6th, we have the car show at the church. You can find the link to that on the church's Facebook page. Come out and support that. And then September 28th, here at the church at 4 p.m., the worship is having a pickleball tournament. So if you want to get involved with that, want to come and play some pickleball that day, it's going to be $20 per team, and you will just see Abby for that. I think that's all our announcements, so let's get back into the Word. Let's see, last week we looked at Proverbs 21:22, which says, "One who is wise can go up against the city of the mighty and pull down the stronghold in which they trust." If you attack the city but don't take down the stronghold, we kind of talked about it, the city's just going to rebuild, reestablish itself because the leaders are safe and hiding in there. So you absolutely have to take it down. So we talked about how that's the same thing is true for us. We bring down strongholds by holding our thoughts captive, by grabbing hold of every thought and submitting it to the light of truth. We can't be passive about it. We don't wait and just hope that things are going to get better. We actually take the offense and we go on the offense and go after this thought, and we try to change things. We have to work at it. We talked about this idea of there being like a boxing match in our mind going on between doubt and faith. We talked about that these thoughts that have kind of built strongholds into our minds, into our life, they have to be challenged. They have to be subdued. And these thoughts that have been rooted in there for so long have to be challenged with God's promises and with God's power. They're not going to stop. They're not going to give up without a fight, right? So we have to take the fight to them, but we don't do that alone. We do that with God's help. And I kind of closed last week by saying, I know that all sounds great, but that doesn't make it easy, right? It's not like we can just step into the fight with this experienced opponent that we've never really been able to fight before and be confident that we're going to win. Not all of us can just press in on our own power. I don't know that any of us can. So this week I want to start talking about that power, talking about the power that we have, that He willingly gives us to use. That is, if we decide to depend on it instead of depending on ourselves. So 2 Corinthians 10:3-5, where we've lived for months. "For though we live in the world, we do not wage war as the world does. The weapons we fight with are not the weapons of the world. On the contrary, they have divine power to demolish strongholds. We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ." So recently, I was working on my home, my house. There's been some bushes that have been planted on the side of my house for longer than I've been alive, for sure. And they had started to become a problem. They were going into the siding and into the foundation. They were causing a problem. So they needed to come out. And I thought, you know what? It's no problem. There's only like 8 of these big bushes. I'm going to take them out real quick and be done with it. And because I am me, I decided, you know what? As a real man, I should easily be able to do this with a little hand hatchet and a little handsaw. It should be no problem because I'm a man. I can obviously do this. So that's what I decided to do. And yes, I know what a lot of you are thinking. You must not have a chainsaw, but you would be wrong. I do have a chainsaw. It was just out in the garage, and I thought I don't need that. These are just bushes. Chainsaws are for trees. I don't need that. But I didn't need a chainsaw. Like I said, I could easily take these out with the hatchet, the handsaw. So I went to work on these. I just worked for like an hour, just crushed it, and stepped back and realized I had destroyed like half a bush in that amount of time. I was sweating, tired, angry, and just really just pulverizing this bush. It didn't even look good. I'll just be honest with you. So I was like, you know what? I'd worked hard for an hour. I needed some water. I was getting a break. It was during that break that I finally had a chance to kind of hold some of my thoughts captive. And I realized I really wasn't proving anything to anyone, except that perhaps maybe I'm an idiot. Right? So needless to say, I went and got the chainsaw. I took the other 7.5 bushes out in about 20 minutes. It was super easy. I realized I just needed a tool that was powerful enough and strong enough to do the job. And I also maybe had to swallow some of my pride a little bit. But I did. That's what I'm saying is that I realized I needed something different, right? Remember what it says in 2 Corinthians. We don't use the tools of this world. We have divine power to fight for us, to take down these strongholds. Too often we try to do it ourselves. Too often we think, well, I'm just going to man up and get this done like I did. Don't do that. You don't have to. What a waste of time. It's with God's power that you get to take every thought captive and you get to make it obedient to Christ. You can't do it on your own. So every time you have one of these old thoughts, those strongly held lies that you've thought forever, you have to identify it and you have to cut it down. You won't just accept it because it fits into your mind or because you've thought it so many times before, because the people around you encourage you that that's the right thought. You won't just go with it because it's reinforced by people. No, you're going to start to take it captive and you're going to submit it to the truth of Jesus Christ. That's how you defeat strongholds. You recognize the lie and you call it out as a lie, and then you replace it with truth. And as you do, your thinking begins to change. As your thinking changes, your behavior changes. You will begin to experience this true transformation. And that's the plan. But again, you're not capable of doing it on your own. I'm not capable of doing it on my own. The first thought that we actually have to rethink is that thought. The thought that we can do it on our own. That thought you have to hold captive. If those tools would work, they would have worked by now. They would have. Right? You've tried the self-empowerment, the self-motivation, the self-help plans, and they don't work. They haven't worked. Because we're only trying to address the behavior instead of what's behind the behavior. So today, I'm asking you to stop relying on that power and start transitioning to divine power that He gives freely. So we have to fight. We have to. We need the power to step into this fight. How do we do it? How do we access God's power to tear down the strongholds? How do we step into the ring and get rough with these thoughts that have been getting rough with us for so long? How do we get our hands on some different tools? How do we get that powerful tool that we need? So we're going to talk about that next week. We're going to actually get into some steps we can take. We can discuss how we tap into God's power so we can actually start demolishing some of these things and start taking we're going to start taking these lies that have been holding us captive and we're going to start replacing them with truth so that our minds become renewed, refreshed, and we finally have the freedom that we deserve through Jesus Christ. Not on our own, but through Him. He provides that. So I'm asking you that today, instead of being conformed to the culture, focus on being transformed by God into the people that He's called us to be, into the people that you were always meant to be. That's our challenge. And next week, I promise you, we're going to start some real steps. We're going to look at things that we can do to start putting into our lives to change what's coming out. So please tune in next week. Thank you for listening. Please share this and like this. I love and appreciate you all. Hope to see you this week.